Hi, fifth graders. Unit 1, Lesson 12. I'm on page 27 of my SAB. Today we're going to be looking at word problems. We're going to see one-step word problems on the first page, and then we're going to see multi-step on the second page. You will need scrap paper for this lesson, or you can use your dry erase board and a marker, but I would never want to see students just doing this in their head. You need to make sure that you know how to set these up. Okay, it says write an equation. We're going to put a cloud around that because that's really important. We have to remember that. We have to write an equation. We also have to explain how we know that the answer is reasonable. So remembering that reasonable comes from an estimate. It comes from us rounding. Okay, let's look at the first one. Ariel ran 6 1/4 miles on Saturday. This is 1 3/4 miles more than Harry ran. How far did Harry run? We're circling our information. We're underlining important information. And now we have, now we have an equation and an answer here. Because we saw more there, we know that we are going to be subtracting. You can go ahead and put your equation in there like that. But we have two things to do here. The first is we have to estimate. We have to see about what our answer is going to be because we're going to need it when we're answering the why is this answer reasonable. Okay, let's do some rounding. So 6 1/4, what would that round to? It could either round to 6 1/2 or it could round to 6. We've been rounding up when it's in between, so I'm going to continue with that, and we will go with 6 1/2. Now, 1 3/4, is that going to round to 1, to 1 1/2, to 2? It would round up to 2 because 3/4 is pretty close. It's right in the middle of 1/2, 1 1/2, and 2, so we're going to round it up to 2. Check it out. Now I have a bit of an easier problem. 6 1/2 minus 2 equals. So I can just take the two whole numbers and subtract them. I can do that in my head. 6 minus 2 equals 4. And then the fraction would just stay the same because I'm not subtracting anything from the fraction. So 4 1/2 is going to be my answer there. Remember, that's my estimate. So I'm going to write that over here because I know I'm going to have to include that in the sentence that I use to answer this problem. 4 1/2, that's my estimate. So now we have to find an actual real answer. So every fifth grader is required to set them up here. You must show me your work. Even as this starts to seem easier, I want you still to always show it this way. I'm going to require this at least for the first half of the year as we're working with mixed numbers and fractions. And what do I mean by this? I mean, I just realized we're not going to have to change the denominator. So normally I would want you to do all this if we had to find a new common denominator. Never mind. For this problem, we don't need that. Okay, there is still going to be a complication though, because you know there always is on these. 1 minus 3, can we do that? Is it possible to do 1 minus 3? It is not. So we're regrouping here. We're ungrouping, I guess. You're taking the 1, you're looking at the 6, and you're thinking, okay, how do I take a whole from the 6? I make it a 5. And then how do I bring that whole number over here in fourths? Remember, the shortcut here is to do 4 plus 1 equals 5. You can also think about it as when you're bringing a whole number over, that's 4/4. So 4/4 plus 1/4 equals 5/4. But again, that shortcut is just bottom number plus top number equals your regrouped number. So 5 minus 3 equals 2. Denominator stays the same. 5 minus 1 equals 4. And then 4 2/4 does need to be simplified. What should that be in the lower, in the lowest way that I can write that? Both 2 and 4 can be divided by 2. So my new answer would be 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. And I did that pretty quickly because hopefully also as you're picturing 2/4, you can kind of see that that would be 1/2 because 2 is half of 4. Okay, so our actual answer is 4 1/2. Is it reasonable? Why, yes, it is. Our estimate was also 4 1/2, believe it or not. So you would say, yes, it is reasonable because when I rounded, I got 4 1/2. And it's, of course, the same at this time, but it could be something where you would say, when I rounded, I got this, and it's very close to the exact answer. Okay, so those are all one-step word problems with fractions. We're going to be looking at two-step word problems with fractions next, and these, of course, are a little bit trickier. So number 5, Nora read 1/6 of a book on Monday and 2/5 on Tuesday. What fraction of the book does she have left to read? What do you think? What is this going to be? Well, first of all, we should probably figure out how much she's already read, and then we can figure out how much she has left. Okay, we also have to estimate on this one because we have to explain how our answer is reasonable. So there's quite a bit going on in this problem. Let's break it down. First of all, let's just figure out how much she has read so far. And we're going to, of course, estimate first. 1/6 is very close to what? 0. If you said 0, you would be right. 1/6 is much closer to 0 than it is 1/2, because in sixths, 1/2 would be 3/6. So we're going to go with 0 on that one. And then what about 2/5? Remember our benchmarks: 0, 1/2, 1, 1 1/2. What would 2/5 be close to? It's close to 1/2, right? Because 2 1/2 would be 1/2. So 2/5 is close to 1/2. So we've got 1/2. So if we're figuring out how much she's read already, we're taking this plus this and getting our answer. So 0 plus 1/2 equals 1/2. Now, what fraction of the book does she have left to read? Remember that the book is whole. It's the whole book. If you're thinking, wait, they didn't give us enough information. Well, when we're in fractions and we're talking about fractions of a whole, the whole is going to be the 1. So you can remember that. If she's already read 1/2, then she has yet to read 1/2 because 1 minus 1/2 equals 1/2. So that's our estimate, 1/2. Now we'll have to find the exact answer, so we'll have some more things to do as far as finding common denominators, but there is our estimate. We're going to write that down so that we can compare it as soon as we have an actual answer. Okay, so we're looking at 1/6 and 2/5, and we have to add those together just like we did for our estimate, except no, we have to set it up and find a common denominator and all that stuff. So here I have it set up. This is a great time for me to actually be able to say, yes, I require you to set this up. Yes, you must do all of these steps while you're in my class, while you're in 5th grade. It's very important for me to see this being done. Okay, so we have 1/6 and 2/5. Looking at the denominators, the bottom numbers, 6 and 5. Am I going to need to change one of those fractions or both of those fractions? I'm going to have to change both of them. I can't do 5 times anything to get to 6, so they're both going to have to change. What can I change them both into? By that I mean, if I'm counting by 6s, what number will I get to that I'll also get to that number if I'm counting by 5s? So what's in my 6s and what's also in my 5s? Well, guys, I'm going to go up to 30 on that one. You let me know if you think that's correct. So 5 times what equals 30? 5 times 6 equals 30. Remember, those two numbers have to match in my magic one. 2 times 6 equals 12. 6 times 5 equals 30. Those two numbers have to match. 1 times 5 equals 5. Take a minute, look at that. Think about how you would have done that. Okay, now we've got 5 plus 12. So 5 plus 12 equals 17, and our denominator stays the same. If you felt like I went too fast up here, this has all been covered in a previous lesson. So you can email me to find out exactly how to do this, how to change the fractions so that they have a common denominator. Okay, 17/30ths. Interesting. So we're comparing now. This is our answer, 17/30ths. And we're comparing it to 1/2. So I'm going to write our answer here, 17/30ths. What do you guys think? Is this reasonable? What would 1/2 of 30 be? Oh, 15. 15 is actually super close to 17. So is this answer reasonable? Yes, it is reasonable. So you could say, and I want you to write this in, you could say it in your own words, something like 17/30ths is reasonable because it is very close to half, which would be 15/30ths. And when I estimated, I got 1/2 as my answer. Something like that. Maybe you can think of an even better way to write it. Okay, fifth graders, so you're going to have some word problems in your online assignment today. Some of them will have one step, some more than one step. Good luck, and let me know if you have any questions.